What's going on, everybody? It's Colton from the Chalkboard. Another little solo here till we get to the weekend when I can get another one. Really trying to hit them YouTube analytics. So always remember, hit the like button down below. And if you haven't yet, there's a red button that says subscribe on it. I don't know if you didn't know about it. Did you know about it? He didn't even know about it. So go ahead and hit that little bell icon next to it. Stay notified. You can tap that just like that. Always stay notified. Remember, we're also on Spotify. You can find us through Anchor. Always support us there as well. But we're going to get right into it. I was always told by Jeff and everybody I should just tell the fucking story. For about 3 years of my life, I grew up in a shed. So that's what we're going to talk about. No bathroom, no running water, shit like that. This was from the end of seventh grade, 8th grade, and then freshman year. And then my dad hit disability, and I finally decided to come back up to Hobart, Indiana. And that's the whole reason I came back, was he hit disability, and he was able to get himself out of the conditions he was living in. But when I first went down there, my mom and my stepdad were traveling a lot for work. Now, I got to go live with my dad as a young boy in a divorced household. That's awesome. That's what I always wanted. I love my mom to death, but I don't want to learn about hair and makeup. I want to learn about cars and guns. You know what I mean? I want to blow up fireworks and shit like that. So I go down there. I'm staying at my family property. We've had for at least 100 years now. We had an old house that was there. It was real beautiful. One day the house burnt down. My grandma and grandpa passed away. My dad and my aunt never did the probate yet. And then so basically my dad was fighting for disability. So this was all leading up to the house fire. So the house burnt down, and we ended up staying at my cousin Dayla's for a couple months house until Gary, this guy, bought it. So then we ended up moving out. Now, in the process of us staying there over the winter, we basically took the house where it was because it was burnt down, and we salvaged the old wood because there's antique. This is an antique house built in the early 1900s. It was built on 12-inch by 12-inch solid oak beams, ran all the way down, and all those were fine. A lot of the floor we saved and put in the barn in the back. A lot of it we threw in the trash dump, basically the compost dump is what we call it, all the other ashes and stuff, and then covered it with dirt. And we actually cleaned up that whole area in preparation of getting the new house there. Now, at the time, my dad was still fighting for disability, so what we did is we had an old wine building because my family makes wine. That's a whole nother story. But so we took that. I learned how to do a lot of carpentry then. I learned how to wall, regulation beam, regulation size for in between each beam. God, I'm fucking up right now. Wall joist that runs up your wall. Learned how insulation, drywall, fucking all the whole nine, fucking all that, run electricity. We did all that. We got a temporary post set up next to it. That is one thing. We had electricity, obviously. So, funny thing is basically the size of my studio right here. So, you're looking at like a 12-foot, if you're going corner to corner, maybe 12 foot on each wall. Yeah. So we had a couch, we had my bed, a recliner for me, a TV, because I was still, obviously I was playing some Xbox or something. You got to get your mind off somewhere when you're living in a situation like that. The whole reason I didn't move with my mom is because the situation where my dad was, he was very alone. He was very brittle at the time. You got to think of mental health on a person, especially when they're living in the middle of nowhere. Even though I was young, that's something that I had to do. I ain't going to let my dad just, kill himself or some shit like that from being so lonely, feeling like he's left from the world. So I stayed down there. I went through it with them. It was one of the best 3 years of my life growing up, probably. It definitely changed me in many ways. Like, we were hang drying our clothes. I did that for 3 years. We had a washer. It was outside, but we didn't have the luxury of a dryer, so we hung dry our clothes. I love hang drying clothes. That shit's awesome. Your clothes feel so much better than drying. Like, no wonder you gotta put them fucking fabric sheets in there and all that shit, because it sucks, man. Let that shit hang dry if you can. Try it. Put it out in the sun one day and let it nice mild day, and just let it hang there and fucking dry off right when you pull it out. It's so nice. So, learned a lot about that. Learned a lot of gardening with my dad. Just a lot of, not needing a lot of things. Obviously I still had Xbox, but we didn't have internet. Where my family's property is down there, you can't get good internet. It's just, it doesn't exist. You can't game out there online. So, you play a lot of single player games. You spend a lot of time outside is basically what I'm getting to. Is I play my Xbox at night, and, in the summers, it didn't get dark till 9:30 down there. You're basically out running around. I was riding my quads everywhere. The thing was, in the morning, I would wake up an hour and a half before I went to school, and I would ride my quad, which this was fun for me because, like, at a young age, and, especially going into high school, it wasn't that young, I was 14, 15 years old. So I hop on my quad in the morning, I'm blasting down the street going to my buddy's house. His mom always let me use the shower there in the morning, which was awesome of her. So I go there, shower. Usually Southern hospitality, man. I get breakfast cooked for me. If I'm over there in the evening, I get dinner cooked for me. All sorts of shit. Super nice. So I'd shower there, and then I'd hop on the bus there with him, go to school, come back, or not with him, but because Quentin actually did a at home schooling. So, shout out to Quentin and Diane and Crack and all them. That's like a whole nother family to me. They're amazing people. I don't see them enough because now I'm an adult and I work and fucking everything. But, man, dude, they really got what they deserved, and they're living large right now, and that's awesome. I know Crack retired, and, Quentin got his own little, like, tiny house, which is, like, what me and Riley want, but we want ours on wheels. It's super awesome, man. They're super amazing people, super down to earth. I love them so much. Diane's like another mom to me. And, but I would always, shower. I would shower there, I'd get on the bus, get off, ride home, and then hang out with my dad basically. And how we did dishes, so we still had a well on the property, so we always had a pump, and we always had our house plumbed off the well, because this well water is nothing like the well water up here, man. This well water tastes like fresh spring fucking water. Shit's nice. So this isn't like the well water up here, like in the city area. This is like crystal clear water. It's beautiful, right? So we just ran a pipe underground in the summer when it was nice out, and ran it right to our door. We had a table there where we do dishes and shit. And I mean, technically, when I say we didn't have running water, like, we had running water, but it wasn't inside. And the only time we had it inside is when we, got a big brain idea of running it through the door, or running it, like drilling a hole underneath by the door frame and running a hose in and up by. But, like, that's super redneck, right? When I tell you that, like, like, I bet nobody up here in Northwest Indiana has had to do that with their father. But it was awesome, man. I learned so much from it. I learned just, like, minimalistic stuff. Like, you don't need everything. Like, I didn't need a sink. I didn't need a bathroom. And I'll get on the bathrooms in a second, because my dad had a porta-john. That's what he had. He had a porta-john because we have a whole bunch of land, and we just had one, so I would move it around for him. I'd dig the new hole for him, or sometimes he'd dig the hole. He liked to get out there and try to still get his hands dirty when he can, and that's what he would use the bathroom through. Now me, I'm scared of spiders. Now what do you always find when you go to some, like, baseball fields porta-john? You find spiders and shit in it. It's, like, not awesome, right? I don't like pooping in them. Not a public pooper either. Gas stations? Fuck that, dude. Fuck it. Fuck that. So, what I did is I big brain, I took a toilet seat, bought a toilet seat, and I took a 5-gallon bucket, and I cut the bottom out of the bucket, and I went out in the peaceful, like, you might think this is stupid, but it was so, how many deer and shit I seen while I'm just sitting there taking a dump in the woods? Because, like, the only time I have to sit down is when I shit. I'm not a woman, so if I'm walking off into the woods and I live in the middle of nowhere, you can walk out of my house naked, no one's gonna fucking see you. I don't have an immediate neighbor. That's the first thing you need to realize. So, I walk out here in the peaceful environment, I pop a shit, I could have been hunting. Like, literally. That's how many times I've had deer walk up, like, within 50 yards of me, and then notice me and then dip off. But squirrel hunt, I could have just sat there and shit and squirrel hunt. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you're downwind from them, But no, you don't need 4 walls. You don't need, like, at the end of the day, yeah, you need 4 walls. You need shelter. But, like, you can go to the bathroom outside. If that's the sacrifice you're willing to make, then you can do it. If you're going to sleep on which I ended up actually sleeping on the recliner a lot more, because that's where my TV was, and so I could watch my own shit on there. My dad had his own TV. We had cable and stuff. We had DirecTV. They just wouldn't. They just didn't have internet lines ran out there, so we couldn't get it. But no, we had Dish. I think that's what they got out there in Kentucky. Dish. We had like Dish or some shit. I don't fucking know. I'm not a big TV guy, so I'm a movie dude. I just kind of sat there and watched my own movies when I was inside. But I learned how to ginseng hunt during that 3-year period to go ginseng hunting. I learned how to go morel mushroom hunting. I learned how to de-shell a turtle basically and make turtle soup, even though I didn't eat it, but I learned how. Did a lot of fishing and just, I feel like for a kid that was the most like down to earth I think I ever have, because you're also a kid, so you don't got no stress, you don't got no worries really. I know it was a lot of stress and worry for my mom and my dad and shit like that. And I know my mom helped out a lot. That's what I mean. Like I love my mom. So, I don't know, man. I feel like you move back up here, you grew up in an area here, like we used to go like I used to have to walk to my friend's house. And to walk to my friend's house was 30 minutes one way. And Kentucky's fucking this, bro. It ain't no flat like Indiana where it's all corn and soybean, baby. It's fucking hilly. So you're walking or you're riding a bike down hills and pushing it up, or you got a quad. Now the first thing I had was a mini bike, and me and my dad jerry rigged it to where that bitty ran about 50 miles an hour, but it had no torque. Like when I first got it, with like 10 miles an hour, that bitch would climb a wall. But we took the chain reduction off and everything, and straight chained it, and that it once it got going, man, that thing was screaming. I took it down the Highway 70. I used to run that bitch down Highway 70, go to Joseph Jones' house or John Smith's house. Man, good times, man. And then I upgraded to a quad. I got a 254 tracks. Old piece of shit. My mom got it for me. I rode the dog piss out of the thing. I still own it because you can't break a Honda. It still runs. It just needs a new top end. It's real weak, but man, it still runs, dude. It's like an 80s 254 tracks. Then my dad got a 354 tracks. And then he got a side, because my dad had disability, obviously, so he got a house, and he got a side-by-side, he got cars, and, he has internet now, and stuff, and not internet you can game on, but he can go on his computer and scroll the internet and look up conspiracies. That's what he loves doing, so, but, man, just like the hang-drying clothes and the hunting every year, like, I hunted, and, there was just so much shit, and honestly, if I could go back to it, I would. Like, if I could be one of those homesteaders out in fucking Alaska that all they got to worry about is themselves, really. They don't got to worry about the state taxes. They don't got to worry about the internet bill every month or the phone bill or something like that. Dude, I would love that. And that's the thing, like, so what I always tell Riley, she's always everyone's on their phone. You're like dogs. Everyone's like dogs. I'm like a dog every now and then, stuck to my phone. I feel like you need to find time in your day to set your phone down, though. Like, when I'm at work, I could be on my phone, but I don't. I set my phone down the whole time I'm at work. And then when I'm at home, I'm either on my Xbox or I'm doing podcast stuff. I sit in there and I watch TV with Riley. I hate TV, but I watch it with her, obviously. But, yeah, no, everyone should set their phones down anyways. Just think of it. Like, you got a dog leashed up, and he's got to go wherever you go. Everyone's always leashed up to the wall, man. Always looking for the outlet. Hey, man, you got a plug-in? No. Nah, shit, dude. Just ruined my day, bro. Goddamn. No. It was great, though. It was great. One day I needed to fucking dry a shirt to go to school. So it was really warm outside. So I put it on the front of my rack on my quad. And I rode all the way to my buddy's house to go shower, and by the time I got there, it was fucking dry. You gotta think, like, you're right, I'm flying as fast as I can get that little 254 tracks going, so at least 45 for a 25 minute drive, so it's getting some good wind, and it's warm wind, sun on it. That's one thing I like, man. The sun's always out down there, even in the winter. Hell, you got 1 inch of snow, they called you off. That shit was crazy, though, man. Crazy. Wait, I just wanted to get on here. That was a little story to tell. That's what my solos are mainly going to be about now, is just little stories here and there. Other than that, though, if you haven't yet, always hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Check me out on Spotify, check me out on Anchor, and have a good day, motherfuckers.